Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Landscape North. Today, we've got the privilege of having Nicola Casciato, who's a partner with WZMH Architects in Toronto. And before we get started with the questions, maybe, Nicola, you could give everybody a little introduction on who you are and what you do with WZH.
Sure. So good afternoon, Chris. Thanks for inviting me to this. I am a partner here at WZMH Architects, focused on the design side of it. Our partnership is comprised of about 7 ownership partners and 12 partners in overall. And we each have our specialty. Some are stronger in management, some stronger in technical, and some stronger in design. And so we like to play on our strengths. And I am one of the design principals here at the company. And so I do the day-to-day design work of a number of the buildings and projects in the office.
Perfect, awesome.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I wanted to ask you, we've had another architect on the podcast so far, is more about how you see the role of building architects have changed over the years and how it relates to landscape design, and where do you see that role evolving in the future?
So, you know, in general, I would say that the role of the architect, and this goes back hundreds of years, is basically the overall orchestrator of the building itself. We like to think of ourselves as basically the conductor and the conductor and composer in a lot of the cases. And what we do is we have to work with our consultants to ensure that the vision of the building that we've put forward to the owner comes through. And part of that is in the landscape side of it. And the one thing that distinguishes, I think, landscape architecture from a mechanical or an electrical engineer, and although mechanical engineering is very important, electrical engineering very important, the architecture of the building, including the landscape architecture, is the touch and feel of the building.
Right.
The part that you come up against as a human being. And so that's where the architect and the landscape architect have a common bond. And our job as architects is to ensure that the touch and the feel of the building is consistent from the inside and the outside. And, you know, the way I like to put it is, you know, architecture is fundamentally about forging human connections.
Sure.
And the architecture part of that is also the landscape part of that, right? So our role is to ensure that touch and feel kind of happens seamlessly throughout the interior and exterior. So when we are working with landscape architects, we're always trying to imagine what it feels like from a user as you enter the building and as you exit the building. And then we each have our specialties when it comes to that. And I would say that how it's evolved lately, I believe there's a number of things that have evolved. Sustainability is one very big issue that is affecting everyone, including mechanical, electrical, especially them. But from a landscape standpoint, we're seeing a lot of sustainability initiatives that are brought throughout the building, including exterior spaces around the entrance of the building, but also rooftop spaces that we're designing hand in hand with the landscape architect. So and then we have to worry about, well, if there is a roof garden, you know, how do you get from inside to outside? Well, is there a step? Is there not a step? And the architect has to coordinate all that. And so so we work very closely with landscape architects in that way. And the other major push is the public realm. I mean, obviously, the public realm is where the landscape architect really does their magic around the building, and we as architects have to really support that. And we have to make sure that our building, especially on the ground plane in the public realm, is kind of inflecting and working with the landscape architect to make sure that it is a positive experience in the public realm.
Obviously, that's great. Thanks very much.
Mm-hmm.
So question 2 would be, obviously, climate change and sustainability is a big issue right now. How has that affected you from a design standpoint?
So the way I thought about this problem a little bit, and I think, well, what are we doing different now and all this? And then I started thinking, you know, architects, we're trained to solve problems. and that hasn't changed, and I don't think it's going to change. We're problem solvers. You give us a problem and we'll solve it. What I'm finding lately is we're just kind of training ourselves to solve different problems than we were in the
Yeah.
past. So for example, my personal experience now, um, what's happening is we have several clients that want to uh, refresh or reinvigorate their buildings,
Okay.
both from the inside and from the outside. And a lot of it has to do with sustainability, has to do with energy efficiency, has to do with an exterior wall that's no longer functioning. And now we have to go and replace that exterior wall, or an interior environment that's just not functioning anymore from an energy efficiency and sustainability standpoint. So we have to go and redo that. And we have some great examples of that. A few years ago, we redid the complete interior of 222 Jarvis, which was
Oh yeah. Okay.
on
Yeah.
Jarvis Street in Toronto, and it was a complete, LEED gold renewal of the inside of the building. We did a great project in Nova Scotia for Nova Scotia Power, where we converted an old coal generating plant into an office building.
Wow.
It was quite an interesting transformation. Currently here in the city, we're doing 3 reclads. So we're recladding, and I'm talking about, anywhere between 15 and 30-story towers that we're recladding. So like I said, we're problem solvers. Now we're being asked to solve different problems
Sure.
when it comes to energy efficiency and sustainability, and also the aesthetics of the building, of
Sure.
course, which
Yeah.
are very important.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, so obviously, what you can tell by this video that we're not meeting in person. How has your firm reacted and maintained productivity during the remote design conditions?
So, when I thought about this problem and when this whole COVID-19 hit, we were so glad. We have a brilliant IT guy, Brad, who basically, like a year and a half ago, I think, set us up with a VPN network and set us up with Microsoft Teams
Sure.
and said, this is what you got to do. You got to do it like that. And we listened to him, we did it. And then people were working from home occasionally if they were sick or winter snowstorms and whatnot. But when this COVID-19 hit and the office is empty, you can kind of see here behind me, people just started working from home. I wouldn't say it was seamless, because we did have some problems, but the technology side of it was
Yeah.
fairly seamless. The biggest issue, one of the bigger issues that we had, was that when you're working from home, you're working on your own network,
Right.
your own, and that might not be fast enough to do the tasks that you would be doing in the office. And so we had that one problem, and I'm not sure that problem is completely resolved. But for the most part, if you have a strong network at home, it's no problem. So we haven't had a problem from a technology standpoint. It was more the communication side of it, where you have, these kind of issues will make you reflect, and like, humans are pack animals basically, and we want to be with other people. That's our nature. It's against our human nature to do what we're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was the communication side of it that was a little bit more challenging. So for example, like, I'm here in the office, I get up out of my desk, I walk over to see what someone's working on for me, and it's a 5-minute conversation of, hey, do this, do that, try this, try that, how's it going, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now you have to pick up the phone and do it, and it's a whole different process, and somehow I find myself busier now, because I got my headphones on all day long,
Yeah.
than I was if I was just in the office, kind of just doing my daily routine. So
Right.
so transition wise, technology hasn't been too bad. It's the communication side of it, and trying to communicate to people through these various kind of softwares that has been the challenge. But I think we're kind of getting over that hump now, I think,
Yeah,
which
I
is
think
good.
it's going to be interesting to see how it all evolves
Yeah.
coming to the other side on what the new and office environment is going to look like.
Yeah. We're working on that. Now we're trying to hatch a plan for how to get people back to work safely, and yeah, it's challenging for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
I won't keep any more time. I just have one more question for you.
Sure.
What advice would you give someone considering architecture as a career path?
I think it's a wonderful career path. It's very enriching um, to see your vision being built. The one thing that I find about architecture that's different from other creative professions, I think out of all of the creative arts, architecture is the slowest. It's very slow.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you're a fashion designer, pick up fabric and you're done.
Right.
You know, you're an artist, you pick up a brush and it's finished.
No, yeah,
Um,
it's designs years to make.
even when it comes to interior design,
Sure.
pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
And architecture is painfully slow. So you know, I'm working on things here. I've got stuff under construction in British Columbia. Like not to say that I forgot, but it was like, wow, that was, you know, a year and a half ago that I was
Right.
designing that, maybe more, and it's still not finished, right?
Sure.
So you have to be patient when it comes to architecture. But that's kind of the waiting side of it. The creativity side of it, which is the day-to-day stuff, I would say, um, you know, sort of, you know, challenge yourself, you know, to you know, don't you know, get off the path of least resistance. You know, try something new, step out of your comfort zone, push boundaries when you can, um, and take risks. I mean, the risks are often uh, the ability to fail, and the ability to fail is actually something that you learn from.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
so you got to be, can't be afraid to take risks. I mean, kind of the other, some of the other sort of things are like, you got to develop a thick skin, I think, when it comes to architecture. I mean, you'll be standing in front of clients, and the good ones and the ones that are, I would say the good ones are the ones that are probably the most critical in times, and you gotta develop that thick skin and go back and say the client asked me to do something, and you got to just sit down and figure out a creative way through it, but and not get discouraged by the criticism,
Right.
because you got to separate the criticism from your personal kind of feelings, and
Right.
that's kind of difficult to do.
Yeah.
So I would say you got to develop a thick skin, I think, if you want to be an architect. But it's a wonderful it's a wonderful experience. Yeah.
Perfect. Great. Is there anything that you would like to, I mean, we'll get some, obviously get some questions and comments and stuff on when I post this on LinkedIn. Is there anything that you wanted to get some feedback from the audience on for your perspective?
Oh, I can't think of anything right now. Sorry, I didn't put my thinking cap on in that respect. So
Yeah.
I think I'm good. It'd
Okay.
be interesting to hear some of the feedback.
Perfect. Thanks very much. I appreciate your
Okay,
time. Let you get back to work, and
great, thanks.
I'll post this on. It'll be on my YouTube channel, which is Landscape North, and then also obviously on my LinkedIn profile. And
Oh, that's great.
I'll link to you as well. So I appreciate your time,
Thank you.
and let you get back to work and
Th-
evolve into the next transition.
Great, thanks, Chris. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Good afternoon. Bye bye.
Thanks.